First-time home buyers are now priced out. Now, how do we go from layoffs at Amazon, right? 18,000 at the beginning of the year, another 9,000. If my mental math serves me correct, that is 27,000 jobs from one company. Now, Amazon is not laying off in the warehouses. They need more drivers. They need more stockers. They need more pickers. They need more delivery people. They need more fulfillment by Amazon, FBAs. They need all of that, right? Until they continue to work and invest in the automation of what's going on inside of these warehouses. I'm told you I'm a C student. Sometimes I get caught up in my words because I'm not that smart. The automation is happening inside of these warehouses, right? And the automation will continue to remove the need for warehouse workers because it's hard to find people to do the jobs that they don't really pay a lot of money for. It's just a hustle. But the trickle-down effect, right? Because you have multiple different factors that's working against you. You have layoffs. You have high interest rates. You have owners that have not been impacted financially as much as they should yet because the market correction has not yet hit you the way that it's supposed to. Even though inflation is raising up the cost of money, it's still pricing out the people that then want to get into first-time home buying. Interest rates are higher. Inflation is higher. Jobs are not as plentiful. And then you then have to find a roommate or better yet, a partner. That's why they say the partners now. They don't say I want a wife, I want a husband. They say I want a partner because it's then going to cost you or you're going to need at least two people to make a certain amount of money in order for you to even be able to get into the room in the first place, into the home buying process in the first place. They're going to make it easier for you. They're going to say, listen, you can get the 3.5% down. You can do the Bank of America with the 0 down. You can do this, but you're going to have to get PMI, private mortgage insurance. And you're going to be paying it for the next 30 years. A 30-year mortgage, is, in my opinion, is almost or just not or just below as bad as a 96-month car loan. We're going to get into it. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And also on top of that, make sure that you tap into the Patreon webinar tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
So tonight's original, with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been watching, let's talk about the American Dream, a new series where we're looking at the promises that a lot of people think about when they think of the promise of America and whether or not those promises are actually happening for people. This week, it's about housing. Really part of the definition of what the American dream is. Work hard, save money, then buy a house. Maybe have your family in that house. But that milestone is becoming more and more out of reach for a lot of us. First-time homebuyers made up the smallest percentage ever last year, only about 25%. So why?
First-time homebuyers, lowest percentage ever. Now, that is much different than somebody like me, who is not a first-time homebuyer. I am a person that has been buying homes for a long time now. As a matter of fact, as I showed y'all yesterday, and as a lot of y'all have been familiar with over a period of time, I've even shown inside of the Patreon last year my process of buying land and how it was that I was leveraging the gnawing and the gnashing of teeth and a divorcee that then sold me a bunch of her land. I am leveraging business relationships in order to get into at a lower barrier to entry, which would lower my costs. Also waited patiently when everybody else was running out during the pandemic and overpaying for their homes. Anton didn't buy anything. I was continuing to buy land. Lumber prices continue to go down. The availability of workers and contractors are now starting to free up because building processes have slowed down. Home building has slowed down. Construction workers are now looking for more work. Now it is the time for me to strike. Even though I'm going to overpay in order to learn the information, I am now going to get it at a much cheaper rate than I would have had I rushed into something instead of being patient and open to the possibilities and then letting things play out the way that they're supposed to play out. But think about it. Represents the lowest ever share. That means that if you don't have money, if you have not already been into this game, if you don't have a level of wealth or equity into your home in order to be able to transfer that over into another home, which is not a first-time home buyer, if you are a first-time home buyer, you are at the lowest rate ever. Affordability, out of the roof. Interest rates, much higher than they were yesteryear. Jobs, not as plentiful. Inflation, very high. People do not have the capital and the availability even to be able to get into these homes. And then when you combine the relationship status of most people, meaning that you need somebody else in order to be able to cover that other side of that home mortgage, you need a partner, the barrier to entry becomes higher.
Why is that happening? And more importantly, is it going to change? NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has the story.
In housing markets all over the country, big and small, coastal and inland, there's a riddle that first-time homebuyers like Kevin Lederer of Orlando are trying to solve.
When did your reality come crashing down on trying to buy a house?
About 2 years ago when I started making offers and getting outbid nonstop.
How do you navigate higher home prices, stiff competition, and now an uptick in interest rates all climbing in the last few years? Increasingly, the answer for millions is simple. You don't.
Everyone has the hope of owning a house. Is this shattering that illusion for many families?
Somewhat, yeah. Being a 31-year-old, recently married, having our first child, raising a family, like you want to have that American dream of having.
Look at that American family right there. If that's not the wholesome American dream, that is the picture of America right now. Actually, it's not. America is a melting pot. But that is the picture of America. I'm reading Super Chat shortly. Thank you to everybody that's contributing to the platform. This man is broken emotionally because he cannot afford the American dream, even though he said he did everything the right way. These are the people, the face of America, that you guys say you can survive off of $47,000 a year. Okay, let's continue.
A home that you can build a family in.
It's not as if Kevin, who works in private investigative services, and his wife Hayden, a 28-year-old wedding coordinator, haven't been trying. The new parents saved up for a down payment for years and
If that's not the whitest baby that I've ever seen in my entire life. If that baby don't have makeup on, that baby has not seen sun since the day that they came out. That is all lighting. That baby has not seen sun, but that's a completely different conversation. I'm not going there.
Collectively make just under $200,000 annually.
They collectively make, think about this, guys. They collectively make over $200,000 annually. I remember when I was broke, right? Or I went broke. Because when I was 18, I was making 18 going on 19. I made the equivalent of $118,000 a year. Let me say that again. I've been a bag chaser since I came out the womb. When I was 18 going on 19, I was making over $118,000 a year. This was back in like 2001. When all of my peers was trying to get into college, I was already killing the game. Now, I did not do the thing that was in my best interest as far as dedicating all of that money, which is one of the reasons why I'm on y'all so hard. I did save 25% of my income. My OG taught me that inside of the plant. My brother got me inside of the steel plant. I was working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I was a hustler. I had work ethic. But me and Rita, we was out here balling and having a good old time. Now, I lost my job in like 2006, 2007, 2008. I realized that everything is messed up out here. Wind up moving back into my mom's basement. Never touched the original 25% that I ever messed with. Got all of my cars repossessed. Made the informed decision. Went back to school. Went to community college. Went and got my software engineering degree. Went into corporate America. Did whatever it is that I do from a business perspective, so on and so forth. You guys know the story. Most of you that's been here for an extended period of time. However, I remember during my darkest days, and me and Rita will watch HDTV, right? And we would watch House Hunters. I don't know if y'all familiar with this program. It was called House Hunters, right? And on House Hunters, they would have this program and everybody would come in and they would say, oh, we're looking to buy a new home or we're looking to buy a vacation home. And then they would say, oh, okay, well, what do you do? And she would say, well, I make fairies out of fairy dust. And then the husband would say, yeah, and I make plastic cans. And they would say, well, what is your housing budget? Well, our housing budget is like $900,000. And I'd be like, are they giving fake professions or something like that? Because why is she making fairies out of fairy dust? I'm a sunflower planter. And then he would be like, yeah, and I'm in a band. I'm in a local band. What is y'all budget? $9 million. And I just could not fathom that for the life. I'm like, how was these people house hunting in the middle of the recession with this huge budget and they don't even do nothing for a living? This couple makes $200,000 combined per year. They have one child, not two, not three, not four, like y'all be trying to have, and y'all have y'all baby mamas and y'all over there in Miami shooting up the place over in Miami Beach. They have one child, an infant that doesn't even eat that much. And y'all don't even know how much it costs in order to raise a child. This couple, this all-American, good, white couple, are making $200,000 a year and cannot figure out how to buy a home.
Still, it's not enough.
The typical first-time home buyer, the share actually dropped to the lowest level we've ever recorded in our 41-year history of the report. We also saw that the age jumped to the highest we've ever seen before.
To give you some better perspective, just over a quarter of homes sold between July of 2021 and the end of June 2022 were purchased by first-time buyers. That's a dramatic drop from the historic benchmark of 40%. And the average age, normally around Kevin and Hayden's, is now up to 36. Housing experts say part of the problem can be...
I mean, y'all hitting the wall now. Y'all got to hit the home buying wall. Y'all know how y'all say she hit the wall because she passed the age of 35, so don't no man want her no more. Now y'all hitting the proverbial home buying wall.
To rents soaring along with inflation, sapping savings, as well as the fact that first-time home buyers aren't facing an even playing field.
First-time home buyers, they do not have home equity to begin with. And we know that repeat buyers...
Jun Zhu literally just explained what I already explained to you. They don't have home equity already. So how you going to compete with me and I'm buying up everything in Metro Detroit? And you got to fight against institutional investors. That's another thing that they're not including inside of this. Institutional investors are now parking money inside of homes. And you got to deal with overseas buyers who never even touch the soil that is purchasing up these homes. And you got to deal with the people that's moving away from New York and California with all of this money because they inflated what was going on over there. And so now they moving into TO City. They moving into Texas. They moving into Florida. They moving in the middle of America. They moving into Atlanta. They going to all of these places. They moving to North Carolina, Charlotte, Austin, Dallas. They moving all over America, Vegas, because they don't want to be too far away from what's going on over in LA. They selling their homes. They coming in with a bunch of money. They make a bunch of money. They raising the home prices in your area. They buying up all of the real estate because they making you a renter. That's the same thing that I'm doing. I'm going to make you a renter. How you going to compete with that? Institutional investors are buying up more real estate than ever before in history. How you going to compete with that?
Do have home equity. They already have a house.
All of these factors have thrown a wrench in many plans, along with geography in Kevin's case. The top two states for new residents are Texas and Florida, and a flood of new people means more demand. And
what did I just say? People that are in southern Florida are moving further north into Florida. So the people in southern Florida, if you're down in the Keys, you're down in the Miami area, you're down in Fort Lauderdale, they starting to move a little bit closer up to Palm Beach, and then they move a little bit further up to Orlando, and now they can't really afford it, so they really moving into southern Georgia, which is really Jacksonville. Ain't nothing over in Jacksonville, right? I just came from Jacksonville like a month ago. Ain't a whole lot happening in Jacksonville, but they still want to stay in Florida because they like to make sure that they rocking with a Republican state. Texas, same way. All of the people moving over to Houston. Everybody want to go over to Dallas. Bunch of people moving over into San Antonio. Y'all ain't never liked San Antonio. You wasn't even checking. You didn't even go and see the Spurs versus the Pistons. It was the lowest watch finals during the time compared to all of the other finals that was around it. Now everybody getting priced out of Austin. Remember when all of y'all ran down to Atlanta and y'all messed up the economy over there? Yeah, that's what's happening.
Higher prices.
Before the pandemic, the same sort of houses that you were looking at, that you were unable to buy, how much would they have cost?
$250,000, $275,000. Now,
How much are they now?
Close to $400,000.
And the younger generation needs more help than ever to get a down payment. The latest National Association of Realtor numbers.
Think about it. If that's a $450,000 house, the standard before they lowered it so that y'all can even be able to get in the door in the first place, the standard was for you to have a 20% down payment, right? Think about that. $450,000. Now, if my mental math as a C student serves me correctly, that's the equivalent of $90,000. Most people that make over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. That is a fact. More than half of people that make over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. A. B. Most people do not have enough money that if they had a $500 to $1,000 emergency, they cannot come up with the money in order to make it. Are you going to still sit here and tell me that the middle class is not going away? Are y'all going to still sit here and let these people sell you on the idea that you should not be rich, that $47,000 a year is enough for you to be able to survive and raise a family on? Are you going to tell me that if you make $100,000 a year and after taxes, it's the equivalent of $67,000 a year depending on where you live, that is enough to raise a family of 4 when you still got to pour into your 401k because Social Security is not going to be enough? They have no more pensions for you. You cannot work 30 years anywhere and then be able to retire. Healthcare coverage is going up. Immigration is out of control. Prices are exploding. Inflation are at an all-time high. Confidence in the banking system and fiat currency is continuing to go down. The value of your dollar is continuing to erode. And you're sitting here telling me that it is enough to be able to raise a family on $47,000 a year. I'm telling you that you're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to pick whether or not you want to be rich or whether or not you want to be poor. Because nobody is going to have any mercy on you. They're going to say, give me my rent, give me my money, or you can get the hell out of my house. They are coming with these evictions. These pauses on your student loans are not going to last much longer. The Supreme Court is still in the process of hearing Biden's request for him to be able to remove your student loan debt. The cost of college is going to continue to go up. The cost of chicken is going to continue to go up. The cost of rent is going to continue to go up. Your property taxes and the amount that they're taxing you from the federal government because they continue to print money and they're not paying down the national debt is going to continue to go up. The cost of a movie ticket is going up. The cost of a flight is continuing to go up. You're going to have to pick a side of whether or not you want to be rich or poor. There is no middle. There is no gray area. There is no opportunity for you to just sit in the middle and be comfortable. You can live in order to work, or you can work in order to live. One thing is for sure. 2 things is for certain. It's playing out in front of our very eyes. You do not have enough, and you will not have enough unless you are very intentional on how it is that you spend your money. You're going to have to make the sacrifice early so that you can have the opportunity to do what you want to do later on. Either you can do it my way or you can do it the Biden way. Either you can do it to where you can control whether or not you want to buy and do the things that you want to do, or you can beg Biden for a handout and for him to forgive your student loans because you picked a basket weaving degree that is going to pay you less than $60,000 a year, and nobody is coming to save you. They're not giving you reparations, fam. They're not giving you reparations. They're not coming to save you, homie. You can beg, borrow, steal. You can ride out with Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson beg more people for money in order to fix a school, and he can't even keep his windows unboarded. Shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson. All of these black community, Black Panther power leaders, all they doing is keeping you poor. They're distracting you from what power really is. You know what power is? Money, honey. Being able to leverage your resources in order to buy the things, to make the decisions and determine the fate of other people is power. It's power. There will be no more middle class. You're going to have to pick a side. You want to be poor or you want to be rich. It's only going to be 2. It's 2 choices. You can sit here and argue about modern women. You continue to argue about abortion policies. You continue to be distracted by what's going on with the Trump administration as far as them trying to, him a bust down as hush money and all of that other type of shit. I'm telling you, it ain't a race war. It's a class war.
Numbers show more than a quarter are staying with friends or family to save for a down payment, and the majority are making sacrifices, cutting back on luxury goods, clothes, and entertainment to save up. But it's unclear if first-time homebuyers might catch a break in the market as mortgage rates have fluctuated. But industry experts are predicting 30-year fixed mortgages are expected to drop by the beginning of next year.
Look at what they still selling y'all. 30-year fixed mortgages. Do the math. Do the math before you apply for a mortgage. By the time you get done paying for that mortgage, hear me out. You're going to pay more than triple of what you purchased that house for, hoping that the value of the house continues to appreciate. And the only way that you're going to justify it is the same old talking points by saying, well, it's better than paying rent. Well, that's because you don't understand things from a business perspective. Y'all still that think that owning cars is the move, don't you? Anton didn't say that. Y'all still think that owning cars is the move, don't you? You don't even know how to write it off. You don't even know what you can write off. You don't know nothing. You out here running around like a chicken with your head cut off because you don't know nothing about nothing. And the only thing that you doing is running around with regurgitated talking points based off of what somebody else already conditioned you to believe. Don't you know that the whole 30-year mortgage thing was made up by the banking industry as a marketing tactic, and you still running around, and they did it so successfully. Y'all know what y'all need to go and watch? Y'all need to go and watch this series. It's called, his name was something Draper, and they were the marketing guys. What's the name of that series? Somebody in the text, in the chat, tell me what the name of that series is, where they were marketing guys, and it was like back in the early 40s, 50s, and 60s or whatever like that. And they were coming up with all of the different slogans in order to sell to people. What was it called? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know what that is. I'm going to be looking in the chat.
That allows for more buying power. Also, we see less competition in the marketplace. So those bidding wars and the lines out the door to see one home and timed entries, those are really ideas of last year.
A tidal wave of obstacles could finally show signs of turning.
I would have thought I would have.
Mad Men. Mad Men. That's the name of it. Y'all need to watch Mad Men. It is so many gems in that of how it is that they're able to market effectively to you, and you don't even know that it's being marketed. When you go into the grocery store, right? Your eyes, I learned this in retail, right? Your eyes are naturally going to go based off of whatever the average height of the average person is, right? And so as your eyes scan the aisle, don't you know that there's brands that fight for a specific space in the end caps? The end caps is at the end of the aisle and at the middle of the aisle, because you're less likely to look down or up in order to purchase the things that's probably the best and most healthy for you. Down or up is where your eyes usually does not go. You always gonna scan the middle of the aisle, and they fight for the end caps. They will literally pay grocery stores in order to be on the end caps. You don't even know where their greatest margins are. You don't even understand why Walmart brought in a grocery section as a part of their whole marketing strategy. They don't really make any money off of groceries. The only thing that's really profitable as far as higher margins in groceries is in the dairy section. It's in the perishables. It's too much waste, and the margins are too low as far as what it takes in order to bring in all of the other stuff. They bring that in, right? They call that loss leaders, hoping that you go and buy some socks, that you go over into the electronics aisle, that you start to navigate over into the middle of the space and be able to pick up a dress or a t-shirt, or you go and look at some Christmas decorations. You don't know shit about marketing, bro. You don't even know why you doing it. You doing it based off of something that somebody else told you and marketed it to you. And so you running around with these easy talking points that don't even mean nothing. It's wild. It's wild, bro.
Bought a house by now, I would have already invested into that. But the hope is that we can get the house that I think that my family and I deserve.
And that is a glimmer of optimism for this couple and
Reading
so
Super
many
Chat
like
shortly.
them who just started their search at the wrong time.
I want to bring in.
So, what is the purpose of what it is that I'm telling you, right? And I'm going to read the super chats now. I'm about to start reading the super chats. What am I trying to teach you guys? How am I trying to show you different things? Why am I using these different articles in order to illustrate a point of how you're supposed to be moving financially? Why you need to make better decisions, why you need to make the sacrifices now so that your parents and your daughter and your son don't have to suffer as a result of your decision making. The faster you come to the realization, the quicker you come to the realization, the quickest that you come to the realization that the war is with finances, power, money, the perception of money, and looking at things from a business perspective versus the have-nots and the know-nots, the quicker you'll be able to separate yourself from the middle of the pack as far as those that are still running in the rat race, trying to figure out what wealth really looks like and how it really feels. You can have everything at your fingertips, but the thing you're going to have to do is change your mindset first and thinking that you know something and realize that you don't know anything. And the minute that I realized is that I didn't know anything, that's when I started to learn everything. And then when I started to learn everything, I realized the more that I find out, the less I really want to know. Because there's so many different things that's happening behind the scenes that you know not of. And just because you're looking at the presentation layer doesn't mean that you're informed as to how things really is supposed to be or why you should make better decisions in order to affect what it is that you have going on. I don't move based off of the standards of society. I move based off of my standards and what's best for my family.